this is what if, I know I haven't been here in a while, but this is what if Shin Wolford was the harem king. So he dies the same way he had in canon by getting hit by a truck after a late day of work. So, some slight differences happen. Right before he's born, he was given two tasks. They were both in his vision. It was pure black with just white letters saying these exact words. Fulfill the desires you wish. Live the life you want. And the second one said, be the harem king. And it wasn't as if it was like just something that he was told to do. It was just burned into what he wanted to do. He was given this by his old self, his human counterpart, I guess you could say, before he died. It said, I want you to do this. And he listens. But that was all it said as he died, and it transferred over to his new body in this new world, as he was Isekai. It said, I'm here, in a sense. It said, good luck. As he's basically given the abilities different than canon. Now, you might be wondering, what's he gonna do first? Well, hold on a second, guys. This picture seems to work great. So, Shin himself isn't dangerous. But when you combine the fact that I'm talking about the kid version, right? As he's a kid, he still does the swordsman training, and he actually carries a sword, not just using the magic. And he doesn't carry a sword yet, he carries a small knife on his side. And he keeps training with Mikkel, and keeps training with Melida and Merlin as well, he keeps training with them, and when he reaches the age of 14, I know they skip to 15 in canon, but I'm saying at the age of 14, which, this is an 18 plus, so be prepared for it. Well, more of a 13 plus, I guess, because most kids 13 already know this stuff, but I'm rating it R, so it's whatever. What he does is he actually has a 3v1 fight. Merlin, Melida, and Mikkel versus Shin in a 3 versus 1. And he already has all the knowledge of everything he had already in canon. So he keeps training. Well, it wasn't really training, but for him this was actually a test for a 3-on-1. He was given the sword. While in canon he only likes the thin swords, but they break too easily. He actually is pretty good with broad and very thick swords. And his personality is more along the lines of, if I have these abilities, might as well use them. Which he does. He has all these abilities, and he might as well use them. So he does. He uses them all the time. There's never a time when he's not using his powers. He actually uses it for a sense of training. He makes he makes the warp gate thing he had in canon, and a room called the training chamber. Basically, he makes an entire little area. It's not really little, it's like the hyperbolic time chamber. In fact, it's basically a complete copy of the hyperbolic time chamber. And he's actually an anime fan in his former life, so he's really a big fan of High School DxD and other anime of that sort. And he's always been into isekai, so he already knows the whole deal of, I'm in a new world, might as well train. And the whole magical spells, incantations, and all that, he doesn't really care. Because you can use incantations to make them stronger. It's basically just useless, though. Like, if you're strong enough, you don't need an incantation. And if you're strong like Shin is and use an incantation, everyone's out of luck. But Shin can literally... And he actually has a spell called Sword Birth. Yes, I'm taking this from Kiba. It's where swords will kind of appear. He's basically using... Because you can use elements and everything. He can combine them the same way he does to make the blue flames and all that other kind. He can use it, in a sense, to make steel. Pure steel. A very heavy kind of hit whenever he does swing. But it's kind of his thing, hitting hard. So, I'm sorry if I'm rambling, guys. I'm going through something right now, but y'all didn't come here to hear about that. So, Shin is actually fighting pretty well in his 3v1. So, it's going as Merlin. He's launching huge flame magics that could crush almost anything. He's still got the strength of a force of nature gone insane behind his hits. Same thing he had when he was fighting the human slash demon thing, the demonoid. Yeah, he was still has the same exact strength. And the guru said she could still do it even after Shin was 15, so I'd say she can still use the same moves. They're both using the same ultimate power they had, and Mikkel himself, the swordsman that taught Shin, he's fully armored out, fighting with all he has. But being that he already knows the people he calls Big Bro and Big Sis, I forgot their actual names, but yeah, they're actually there too. Magic and sword, as he is using all the magic he knows, and she's using all the power she has. Although instead of it being, he calls him Big Bro, but with her it's more like, "What's good, babe?" kind of thing for him. Even if she's older, he doesn't really care. As he winds up winning the battle, and he was given one request. And his wish? He wanted to train with them more. That was all his request was. So he winds up doing this kind of training all the time at that point. And when he turns 15, they still have the same kind of thing happen. He still doesn't know about any of them. And then it's just as you have them fully reveal themselves the same way they had in canon. But he's instead of shocked, he's like, "Oh, cool." As he asked if she needs a training partner for the sword. And she says, "Sure," which she's actually already twice as strong as she was in canon. The person he called Big Sis. In fact, all of them are a lot stronger than they were in canon. Because we all know the wise man's still pretty good on his feet. As in the beach episode, he straight up jumps in the way and tanks a hit that would have most likely been able to kill any regular humans. Which is what the girl said anyway in the actual anime. So, the girl who was about to get hit by it said in the actual anime. Now, he won't be Mr. Steal Your Girl to anyone. But he will be the beast that no one can tame. As episode 1 goes basically the same way I had in canon, but then you have the whole thing with him going into town. In this version, he's just used to the group. Hold on. Okay, I found a really cool picture for it, so here. And he's not really serious about things. So he still walks, when he gets the whole thing with the crowd about Merlin and Melia being all famous and everything, he doesn't really care. Only in this version, when the crowd is happening, he's just like, "Hurry, hurry, hurry, hurry," because he's not wanting to get stuck in the crowd at the moment. Winds up getting into the city, same kind of way, meeting the people, same exact people, at the manor that he lives at. Now, in no way I'm going to say, there's no way Shin is actually the weakest one there. In fact, they made the same deal, but Shin said, "I won't be used for the military. I will be my own independent." And they said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I'll do what I want. If y'all have a problem with that, bring your warriors against me." And being that he could have known that he basically just be sentencing people to death if they were to duel against him, he said, "Fine, you'll be your own independency with your family. Your family and you will be independent from my nation. As in, I'm not going to challenge you if you do something. But do not break the law, because I will have no choice." As he said, "Yeah, okay." As the same thing kind of happens, as he's wandering around, got lost, he meets those two the same way, only in this version, he's kind of a playboy, so he wants to get both of them. Instead of the whole, "she's so huge," he's like, "Dang, this girl fine," kind of moment. But he still thinks she's adorable. And the other one, he likes her fiery personality. That's why I had the picture of them both in the beginning. So, Shin actually does the same kind of moves, only in this version he's a little more show-off, though he's full power, which he wasn't even releasing his magic in that fight. In this version, when they pull that dagger, and he doesn't even carry a sword on him. Like, he carries one in his other dimensional, but he has, like, one of every kind of sword. Like, he has a small sword, a big sword, really oversized sword like Gus's from Berserk, but he has one of those kind of, dude pulls a dagger, Shintrip breaks his arm and just puts him to the floor, saying, "It doesn't matter if you are demon hunters. You hunt women, you're just a bunch of scum that I could have on my boot." As he said "You're just a bunch of scumbags in canon," as he kind of just calls them straight up, "You could be called scumbags, but you're worse than that. Whatever, leave." As they all start running, as they just got wrecked by one kid, and they've been able to fight demons off. So, if they can, and they wind up saying, "Forget this, I'm out." As Shin says, "Are you ladies okay?" And they said they are, as they kind of both feel like they both kind of like him at that point. It's kind of funny how they kind of had that. They both kind of like him at that point, and he actually says that he actually thought they were pretty cool people. And when they had said the whole same thing about the grandson, she hoped he was single, and it was just like the grandson of the wise man hoping that he was single. He was just like he was kind of like avoiding the subject about him being the grandson of the wise man and the guru. Now, he's in no way ashamed of it. Same way as in canon, he just doesn't want like people to find out just yet. So he winds up meeting Kurt the same way. He's looking at something. Kurt puts his hand on, saying, "What do you think you're?" And Shin in this version, instead of just putting him on the floor, he literally is just digging his face in the ground, saying, "What do you think you're doing, fool?" As Shin says back to her, "You got nerves if you think I'm a fool when you're the person who just put your hand on me without telling me why." Which, I know he doesn't have an accent or anything, it's just mine. Sorry about that, y'all. Yes, I said y'all. I'm a country boy. Anyway, so Shin, he just wrecked the dude and pushed him aside, and it's just like, as he said, as the same kind of he kind of said the same kind of noble threat against Shin, and Shin didn't even really care, as August said the same exact words, as he still says the whole Uncle Lisa's son to August, but in this version it's just like, okay, as they call each other like cousins. He still has no clue that August has a little sister, since August never told. Yeah. And August is just, as the whole magic aptitude thing kind of still happens. In this version, it was just the same thing of, actually, they did do the same. He did the same thing as he had in canon before they went to there. How he had shown everyone there to his training grounds and used that whole huge explosion. In this version, he actually took them to his training room, as it was kind of like the hyperbolic time chamber. They asked, "What's this room? What is this place?" As he said, "It's called the hyperbolic time chamber. A year in here is a single day out there." Really? Yes, in other words, I could practice a year's worth of magic in a single day. A clock works. There's a clock to show what time it is. And it has a night and day cycle as well. That's pretty cool. Yep. Now, why don't we just... Now, I have something to show y'all. As he kind of used his creation kind of magic. Sorry about that, guys. A creation kind of magic to make this huge mountain that made Mount Everest look small. And this room he made was strong enough to withstand 100 of him. Like, he pours magic into that. As he actually said, "You'll be fine," as it made its own kind of barriers that were 4 times thicker than, well, the kind of barriers it was 4 times as thick as the barrier Straw made. Each one of them. And there was 4 of them covering each of them. So they were completely protected from anything. Though Shin launches this huge magical attack. that made that one he had thrown in cannon look like the fireball that kid threw in the examination room. So he should have just thrown just this massive fireball that just turns this mountain into dust. As he said, so what do y'all think about it? It's just like, what? What? As he had shown them, as Merlin had already seen it, so he wasn't amazed, but he was still pretty proud. He was still proud of Shin. So back to what I was saying before. He goes to the same training room. They do their kind of self-deluded magic recital, as he says, as they couldn't do anything. As when Shin turns up, they said this. She said the same exact thing of hold back to where it only destroys the bag, as not being told as he was told to hold back. As he's sorry about that, guys, but he still does this huge. He does this tiny little ball of. It's still a blue flame. Only he'd wind up using every four element. He winds up throwing it and burning the fire. One uses water to straight up slice clean through one, and a rock one to completely just obliterate one. A wind one to straight up slice clean through one of the bags, and then for the final test, he did 4 elemental and just eradicated it and said, "I thought I told you to hold back." He said these exact words. That was less magic than I could have. I literally couldn't use. You said enough to destroy the bag. That's all I used, and I was holding back quite a deal. My full power could have easily eradicated this entire place. What do you mean, this entire place? I mean this entire country. As they are completely astonished about this, and saying, no one's that strong. Okay, I'll prove it. As he'd wind up saying, come with me. As they go to this magical room, as he kind of says, this is a room called my hyperbolic time chamber. A year in here is a day out there. Now let me show you what I can fully do. As he let his full power out, and the same mountain was made, as he just obliterated it with one fire spell, saying, that is what my fire can do. And my water is just as powerful, as is earth and wind. Any other magic I use is just as strong. As she said, okay, completely. Scratch that. He won't show off that much, but he will still use the same magical flame. Only it'll be like a hair. It'll be the exact same strength since he was holding back. Saying, I was actually holding back a huge amount. Said, and he still gets first place, as he still got the whole S class. Only slightly differently, when he first meets the people in S class, he doesn't really care much, but he still enchants his uniform, only slightly differently, as he said, as he was thinking about it, and he used his magic to make it where, because I'm going to say he wears an undershirt, as he enchants all of his undershirts with this kind of magic called, I'm not sure what it would be. I think it's kind of a repair magic that'll repair the clothes he's wearing if it rips or something. So he'll never have to worry about much. Nah, I'm not giving him that. The undershirt kind of has this thing where it makes a kind of auto barrier, same as Sicilian's ring, only it's mainly used for surprise attacks, what Sicilian didn't have, or himself. But wouldn't you know it, they still have the same kind of thing, and he's actually keeps up his training, and when they kind of already make that deal, when they're still walking the same way, same exact dude came up trying to swing it, Shin. Same demon kind of thing, only in this version, Strom gave him a good double the magic he had before. So his ability makes August and everyone there but Shin look like a joke. Like, it would take Merlin and Melida together, like in their primes, when they had done the same thing to the other demonoid, it would take both of them and it would push them worse than the other one had. It may even be able to take one of them down. Well, it wouldn't kill them, just injure them very badly. He was stronger than the demon had been before. As he launches a single fireball, and the one day Shin isn't wearing an undershirt that makes the auto barrier. He takes this fireball. He uses the same barrier, only in this version he didn't burn his hand anywhere near as much. He's like a he's like a hair follicle stronger than he was in canon. Well, he was actually stronger than he had when he was training. He knows a lot more magic as well. He even made a single spell called Equinox and Dark Cloak Dimension Slash. I'm getting these from all different anime. Equinox, Dark Cloak Dimension Slash Equinox is from Black Clover, Yami's technique that is strong enough to slice through almost anything. As he's able to use this, only he just calls it Equinox. As that can be a flick of his finger that could cut through anything. Though the magical powers of a demon make it harder to do. He actually makes this thing called Demonic Eye, which is where like a black magic kind of go on him, to where it's kind of like if his arm got chopped off, he could pick it up, put it on like Meliodas does, and heal himself with the darkness. He kind of has that as one of his go-to things where if he gets too badly injured, or if anyone does, he'll give them the eye, but he can't really... It takes his magic to activate it, since no one's as strong as him. I mean, Merlin could use it, but that's with a lot of training. Anyway, back to this whole fight against Kurt. Kurt throws, like, this huge fireball. Shinstrap just dodges it, and he still uses a sword. Hold on a second, guys. Makes the same sword he had before. Only difference, when he does these little fireballs, instead they're like twice the size. And he's very mobile with his fights. So he's just going pure berserk on this dude and wrecking him like no one's business. Now, I'm not going to say Shin's just beating this dude down without a droplet of sweat getting on his face or anything. Like, he's trying. Though the magic the dude's using is always defending against... Like, the magic Kurt is using is always defending against Shin's attacks. So Shin just says, forget it. As he picks up the same sword, he says, nah, that won't be enough. As he uses his broadsword. And it's a huge broadsword. As he kind of switches his clothes out with kind of a clothes change technique that he has, where his magical clothes will appear through it, and his magical clothes will come off as his battle gear will come on, as he's wearing an armor, just armor. The armor is similar to Belle from Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up a Girl in the Dungeon? It's his white armor. It's the exact same, and winds up, as he uses this huge broadsword, slicing clean through Kurt when he's trying to make the explosion, as he said, rest in peace. As the dude's cut clean through, and the teachers still think that the prince did it, as the prince says, nope, he did it. As Shin kind of drops his blade, saying, wow, that was a lot more than I was expecting in the morning. And they said, what? That was no lightweight, dude. Yeah, I know. But it wasn't exactly a hard fight. Oh, really? Which Shin saying it wasn't really a hard fight. To them would be like fighting an army versus a single dude. Like an army of mages and everything, fighting a dude with no magical aptitude. That's most power is like summoning a tiny pebble that won't even hit hard enough to do anything. So, yeah, that's like his comparisons to people. He's like hundreds of armies, and they're like a single individual with no magics. Magicians can keep up somewhat with him if they're making barriers, but they still do the ultimate magician thing, as Shin is still called the hero. Slight difference. Shin is wrecking everything when he meets the big busty orange-haired girl and the little one. He calls the little one, "Hey there, you know you're pretty cute." As she kind of gets kind of with him, and Zillions is kind of judging about it, but he says, "Don't worry, babe. I'll be with you. I can be with all y'all," which she perfectly accepts it. Hold on. Yo, dude. Anyway, yeah. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, guys, sorry about that. I'm taking care of some stuff. So, yeah, Shin, he says to this girl, "Yo, what's good, big girl?" As this chick with the orange haired chick with the huge tits says, "I like you." As he's just like, "Hold up, yo, dude, sorry about that. An old friend stopped by, and my little brother was being a pain." So yeah, Shin, if I'm not mistaken, I have him right after the fight and being the hero and everything. So with the orange haired chick, he says, "Dang girl, we gotta hang sometime." As he's already, lost his virginity with the blue haired girl, the red haired girl, the blonde haired girl, and the orange haired girl, all in that time. Now, the glasses girl will be the same thing because she's into a lot of magic, so yeah. Being that he's got basically what seems like an infinite reserve of it, she loves him. And at that point, Shin is already getting all the girls. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry about that. Anyway, because Shin gets all the girls, he's basically a beast. Mainly he's already seen as a hero. When he fights Strom, hold up a second. So I'm back. Sorry about that. My little brother was just being a pain, and again, so, yeah. So, while Shin is not in any way weak, he's completely a player. When he fights to kill. So, Shin, when he has to fight Strom, he does it the same way. I think he does the same spell. It's twice as strong, and Strom is a lot worse off, as he's gotten a complete cut off his side. But I'm gonna say demons can regenerate given enough time. But he actually has to have someone pouring magic inside of him so that he won't die. Like, he's that badly injured once the explosion magic happens. He's not just wrapped up, he's wrapped up completely. Instead of just being wrapped up to rest and resting, he's wrapped up getting healed by magic for solid 20 hours. And he still is just as beaten up as he had been after the fight. Like, how he'd been beaten up in the canon fight anyway. As he's basically just as injured as he was then. He's only barely able to speak with them, saying if he had taken even a droplet more magic, if he had taken a single bit more magic, he wouldn't exist. And Shin said, really took it out of me. Hold on Sorry about that, guys. I know I'm stopping a lot, but my brother's being a real pain right now. So, yeah. Shin keeps doing the same thing. Trains with them as the Magic Club, same way. The whole work and all that. When he finds out they're engaged, he's laughing his ass off. When he finds out that all of them are kind of into him, but he hasn't gotten permission from any of the girls' folks yet, he winds up doing that around the training camp time. Now, they still have to do this thing, because they've been training, and they're all about 3 times as strong as they were in canon. The girls got some extra training in on it, if you know what I mean. And the guys, they had to train because they're trying to surpass Shin. Especially August. He doesn't want to get his ass beat by Shin. And they train in the hyperbolic time chamber that Shin made. And they have a rule of only doing it for around 5 minutes each. So it shows how much time they've been in there much time they've been in there. On the outside and on the inside. So if they're gone for, let's just say 6 months, it'll say, you've been gone for 12 hours. It won't have the words, but it'll have it written out on a big clock, how long you've been out. And it'll have an AM or an PM time for showing. Because if it's light, it shows that you've been there for that long, and dark, you'll know it's been nighttime. Now, he still goes out there to train inside of it, because you can still hear it, and the spell is able to be opened if you have enough magic power. All you need to do is pour, like, about a half of what Shin pours into it, which he only pours enough, like, August from the beginning of the show could do it. If he poured his magic in, he'd be able to do it. Most of the magic people there could do it. They could get in there, but Shin actually has this thing where he actually offers the whole school to learn by him. And they accept it. So the whole school must train with Shin. But they will not be part of the divisions. They are as ranked in as A class, B class, C class, and D class. D class is actually just like D class. I'm not even sure what class goes up to. I know there's S and there's A. I'm pretty sure there's a B, and there's a lot others, I think. So, yeah. And with the Warriors, the same thing kind of happens as they keep training and they wind up going into the, fighting as the demons. And this Warriors are just as, like, acting as tough. But when Shin sees that it's, his big bro Zeke and, the girl, and that girl, the swordswoman that everyone likes, forgot her name, sorry guys, but yeah, he winds up seeing her saying, "What's goody?" As the girls from the school are kind of still with Shin, like, other than August, those two, everyone is, like, into Shin that kind of way. Not guys, like, guys and August. Guys, they're completely out of that. And the one girl that was, August's fiance, and the girl that is August's little sister, they won't have the same kind of thing happen. And without a doubt, Shin's probably the strongest one, like, all put together. And he says he's going to take up a swordsman style instead of fight. And they find out the truth about him doing that. The whole free publicity about him needing new swords. But in this version, he makes one of each kind of sword. One of the detachable blades was one of the thoughts. So he ended up making one like that, as it's going to be his primary sword. Which Shin is nowhere near weak. Hold on a second, guys. Hi, guys. So I'm back. Just had to take care of my storage space problem for a second. Shin, without doubt, Shin is not small. Well, not small fighters. Like, he shows off. And they still have the same kind of problem with a boar. Only in this version, when they're hitting on Shin, the swordsman girl actually starts hitting the sword chick from the school, starts hitting on Shin as well. And Shin's fine with this, as he says, "Yo, what's goody?" to her, which he actually says, "I'll be using a sword only this fight, unless magic is required." When those I'm going to say it was a horde of 1,000 instead of that. Sorry about the whole thing, but instead of it being a horde of a mere 100, it was a horde of 1,000 with a lion, a tiger, a bear, huge animals too. And one of the most known was the strongest kind of animal. Sorry about that, guys. The strongest kind of animal that can be demonized. The dragon. I know they don't have I'm not sure if they have dragons or not, but I'm going to say they do. I'm going to make it where they do in this version, so. The demon dragons are, like, hefty fighters. In fact, they could be measured to be unstoppable. When you fight them, they have to send entire countries out, but they're very docile, usually. Only in this version, it was everything running from the dragon, as Shin alone just pops his neck and saying, "I can use a magic for this, but I want y'all to stay back, as the strength can keep up with me." As the girls all think he's so cool, even the guys are just like, "Dude's a badass." Which, he kind of cracks his neck to power out, as his magic, instead of making the small explosion, because considering what he did, in this point, that's a small explosion, he lets his full power fly, and just eradicates the entire thing of demons, and the dragon one didn't even stand a chance. Just ran like it needed to run. That's all it had to do. That's all it could do. When it saw this, it had to just run. That's all it felt it could do, was run like hell. And it does. It runs like hell, but it doesn't make it. And what I mean by doesn't make it, it doesn't escape. It takes the blast, it's still standing, but it actually has reason, the same kind of reason a dragon would have. Hold on a second, guys. I swam back. So anyway, Shin, he winds up taming the dragon as another version of, as a stronger lion, an alpha lion, like the leader of the pride. An alpha wolf, which was one of those kind of animals, was there. It was a beta, though, so an alpha wolf. Hold up! So Shin winds up taming a wolf, an alpha wolf, a lion pride, a lion, a full-powered lion, and one of multiple kinds of, one of very many kinds of, like, one of very many powerful ones, even a bear, which they hadn't killed anything yet, they were just, like, higher-powered ones. They kind of all start bowing out, as they wind up obeying Shin. I'm going to say you can, like, turn an animal into your pet, as he winds up putting his hand on it and making it into his pet. The dragon now obeys him and him alone. And he makes an interdimensional kind of world for it to live in, that Shin himself made. Each of them, it's kind of like a magical world where they can call upon Shin at any time. And he's got food for them and everything. He'll just hunt regular old boars or even demon boars. He even got a demon boar. He can hunt. He hunts all the time. So he can go there, hunt for about 3 minutes, and get the kind of animals needed. While they are still demonic, they're not kind of crazy. They're just like the human demon ones, as they are strong, and they are proud that their demon powers are so high, but they know, as an actual, this was a leader of dragons, demonetized, because it had been betrayed, and got powers that were equivalent, as it was rare for a demon to get, for anything to attack a dragon to make it where it would go into demon form, but this one had it happen. So, Shin now has these pets. Now, he calls them his pets as the flying kinds. Like, there was actually a demonized hawk and eagle. He took those two, and he just calls them his flying animals. And they're big enough to where they can hold another human-sized thing. So, because they actually grow, as we've seen. Because regular boars are about a quarter of the size of the demon boars. Same for bears. Even the dragon version was about 4 times as big as a regular dragon. So, Shin, he winds up having them all, like, he winds up riding with them, as they can kind of hook into his clothes. He put this thing onto his shoulders to where they could hook into his clothes, and he could fly with them if he wanted, or he can just straight up fly himself. He made the floating magic early, so he's very hard to beat. And in no way is Shin going to lose a fight against anyone. And now August and them are trying to keep up, and they've actually gotten strong enough to where they could crush demonoids. Like, one-handed blast could crush a demonoid. And they wind up going to they wind up all going out for training as multiple little demonized as they wind up training with the demonized animals Shin has as his pets. Shin trains with the dragon as, well, I guess August would train with the dragon, and all the other animals would train, like, full groups of them, versus one of the people. Like, the healers, they would train with the regular demon. Like, they would train with the demon animals as well, but they would train with the lighter ones, like, small pack, the beta wolves. Hold on. Anyway, Shin was having them train, and he has them all together, the animals and the human and the magicians, training against him. As Shin trains, and they're already known as ultimate magicians, as the entire school can only altogether like A class, they can keep up with, like, altogether their class, the lion. Like, S class, August can keep up with the dragon. It's like the dragon is going at a 10th, like a 100th of its full strength. And it would take the entire school together, except for S class, to defeat the dragon. That's because they've all been trained by Shin and now have at least S class level strength. Like court magicians, they're about the same strength as the D-class students. That should put into perspective how strong each of them are. And Shin is like 100 times stronger than the dragon, as Shin trains all the time. At one point, Shin actually says, and when they hear the whole demon thing, as they go on the training camp, same one. Hold on a second, guys. So anyway, Shin goes to his training camp. I have a buddy with me right now, so Shin goes to his training camp, and he is just full-on training. Like, he makes the Goku and Vegeta's training against, like, versus most things look lightweight. As he can use, like, electricity, bombs, literally any kind of thing you can imagine, he can do. Like, he basically makes Ainzel Gon look equivalent. Hold on. Anyway. Alright, so Shin, he is just straight up going ham, swordsmanship and everything. He makes Honest Voldigode look like, well, he looks like his equal. They look like they're equals, in a sense. Because he's already made revival from dead magic. And that magic, he was at first just starting with animals. Then, at a point, he actually did it to people who were dying. Unfortunately, like, if someone died from a disease, he'd snap his fingers and fix them. Not even a chance that they would get hurt. But if their head got chopped off, that'd be a lot more difficult to heal. Or revive. So, yeah. But he still does. Like, when the demon fight happens, he actually can wind up reviving people. And Shin is in no way lightweight. Like, physically, even without a weapon or anything, he can one-handed beat everyone. And he trains with the Knight Academy, and trains them on how to properly use their swords. He gets all of them around the level of, like, master swordsmen. In their world, they're master swordsmen. That's what he gets those children to. But while the knightly families feel okay with that, most people don't expect to be trained by a monster like Shin. And the girls from every institute, well, he only has a certain amount of a harem. Like, the girls, they're all into him. It doesn't matter which one you're talking to, they're all into him. And Shin is in no way against, like, he's up for anything. He gets all the girls, and in the training camp, the, guru, he tells the guru about it, the whole training camp, and she knows how he is. He already has, like, 5 girlfriends, so she says, yeah, I'm going with you. As the grandfather said, yeah, me too. He says, fine. Actually could be benefiting, because y'all's training, because y'all trained me. As he wound up calling up Mikkel and said, yo, could you train with me? Could you help me train some people? As Mikkel is just like, done deal. Be there. Win. Saying, where do you want me to meet you? Where do you want me to meet you? Where are you right now? As Mikkel says, well, he's about this far from their old place. As he winds up warping there. And when he warps there, everyone fight. Like, he straight warps there. Grabs Mikkel. Gets back. Gives Mikkel a sword and armor and everything, like his old sword and armor, like Mikkel's himself's sword and armor, when he was the Knight Commander, all that stuff. And they wind up training. Even the magic people. Well, said, aren't you militarizing your power? Shin says, I'm doing what I want. That was the deal. I'm militarizing my own strengths, yes, because I want to. And if y'all got hurt, it would piss me off. Got that? And they said, okay. And they wind up getting put in a special group. The S-Class from both academies would be put in a special group, as in with Shin being the leader of both, as they all get put in this hyperbolic room he made, which made Shin and August were the strongest two there. Physically, it was just Shin, then the Knight, but power magically was Shin, then August. And if you're wondering, like, who would win, like, because of his training with all the dudes and everything, he's gotten to where it's this order. The swordsmen are actually already able to one-handed kill a demon. Oh, they're at around the level Shin was when he was a kid. When he was around 10. Well, they're actually above that. Like, they could give Mikkel a run for his money at his old age. So, yeah. Now, Shin has them all fighting him. And he has 1v1s every couple seconds. As they think no one's even lasting a second with him until they figure out how the room works. Just like, so people are lasting pretty long with him? Yeah, I guess you could say that. Not really, though. You could be right. They wouldn't last a second with him if he wasn't holding back. Which he's winding up being even able to teach the knights some magic and the magicians some swordsmanship. Because he needs them to be able to fight either way. Without magic or with magic, he's unstoppable. And he's gotten the swordsman the magic they've learned was more defensive. For like if there's an attack that they couldn't block with their sword, and they needed something to block it, boom. Magical barrier. That's what they keep using, just magical barriers and small fire, basically basic elemental and defensive magic. And high-level defensive magic is what they're learning, while everyone else is learning high class, while the mages are learning high-class magic and bare minimum weapon training. But they can use any weapon they want, though. At the point where the two schools could basically be combined. An S-class for swords and S-class for magic are the same thing. At points, as Shin talks about how good everyone is at their studies. And he winds up talking as the training camp happens, the same thing kind of goes down as he's training with them, and then the whole thing of those girls joining happening still happens. And they said, as the king said, I give my permission to them. As Shin says these exact words, they still have to get permission from one other person, the leader of the camp. And they're asking who? Merlin? Melida? And Shin says, nah, me. Okay, would you allow them to go? On one condition. As he says, I'll make them both some gear that can withstand a couple beatings. Them asking why, as he said, it could be dangerous. I'm making you automatic gear that can withstand hits that I can throw. But what? As August saying, you mean they could be in danger? From you? As he says, no. The pushback. Y'all feel pushback when I launch magical attacks at full power. They would be destroyed by him. So I'm making it where they will feel way less pushback than even you do in special gear. As he winds up making their dresses basically immune to hits that even he throws, unless he really full powered it. Like they're basically able to handle the backdraft from his attacks. But that's about all they can handle. If August could even throw a full powered attack at them, and it would block that. Shin, it can barely handle his backlash, but it doesn't hurt them. It just messes with like the whole pushback and everything. So they're completely protected when they're in the training camp. As they see the people firing off, Shin says, all right, now we're having a duel. Now we're having a match. Y'all versus me. As he said, first we're doing the individual matches. August, as she says, be careful, August, which August is still doing the whole, you like Sicilian romantically, you can't just be a playboy. As at one point, Shin just says these exact words. August, just because you a prince don't mean I ain't whooping you. Trust me, I can. August saying, I do it then. As they wind up getting into a training thing where he winds up popping August around until August is basically covered him, like beaten to bloody, where it looks like Strom took less of a beating. And he winds up healing him, saying, you good for another round? Holy crap, he's unstoppable, is what everyone's thinking. As Shin said, now it's a group fight. Which, he said, even if the strongest of you couldn't train in 1v1s with me, then I don't think I should let the weakest one do it. With the swords people there, too, it makes it where it's a lot more better of training for everyone. As the barriers are all put up by everyone, and even the knights are still using their little magic to attack with that. And he even winds up making magical gear for them to be able to use. For the girls, well, he teaches the girl magic. His, I guess you could say, cousin that's a girl magic. But August's fiance, he winds up making her gear that can throw magical attacks around his level. If you're wondering what that means, is that they can magic attack that are powerful enough to keep up with August. If you think I meant the level of Shin, not a chance. Like, it would take everyone period, to keep up with Shin. But they do the training thing where she's launching magical attacks on the level of August, and he teaches them certain spells. Like, he teaches the knights a spell called Sword Birth. Yes, he teaches them that. And he teaches, like, he just teaches them swords, a technique that just enhances their swordsmanship. And magic that helps swordsmen, mainly. So, they said, wow, we're stronger than a knight and a mage usually put together. And that's just the knights. And the mage are like, wow, we can keep up with the strongest swordsmen that are captain of the swordsmen could barely keep up with us. As they're just like, don't get a fat head. Even Mikkel says, don't get a fat head, kid. I can still knock you down a peg. Even as Mikkel's actually the one who trains with Shin all the time, so he's not weak. In fact, he's like 5 times stronger than he was in canon. While he's retired, he still keeps up his training, so he won't have to worry about anything. If he has to go back into service, he's unstoppable. Which, yes, he could go back into service, though he won't. So he keeps training like crazy training. At one point, Shin just says these words to everyone, enough training for a day. They said, how long have we been gone? Hold up a second, guys. Alright, so I'm back. So Shin is, like, really, really done with the training. And they were all done with their training, as they've had enough training for the whole camp, as they wind up doing the magical control one. As for the swordsmen, what they're doing is actually, with the beach, they're training about how to, like, keep a calm head. Well, because they seem to get hot-headed pretty fast, so I'm giving them that kind of training. And no one can keep up with the S-Class alone, so no one could ever keep up with, like, it would take, and they wind up sitting in the same group, only in this version it has the swordsman that were from there, as he winds up, giving them the same kind of magical boots, as they can learn how to use them, to fly upwards and attack, and then land. To fly upwards so they can, like, fly down with enough force of gravity to attack. And they can keep up with Shin, like, his training. And when they wind up fighting the demonoids, the whole group of demonoids, instead of it being the same kind of demonoid fight, it's more along the lines of a, like, head basher fight, which Shin already told the girls, like, he already told Sicilian how he felt about her, and she said she felt the same way, as she wound up becoming the main girl. As she said, but I won't try stopping you. You can have as many women as you want. As he wound up talking to all the girls' fathers and mothers about it, and they wind up saying, I accept it. On one condition, you must show that you care about my daughter. As they wind up saying, they all wind up finding out about each other, and they're like, what? So you're allowing him to have multiple wives? And I'm going to say it's a regular thing in that world, so they're like, fine. If he can love you all, then it's fine if he has multiple wives. But if he neglects one of you, go to your parents and tell them. And they said, alright. And they were all kind of determined trying to become the best one, even though they were all, like, second, like, they didn't have really a number. Only Sicilian was, like, the main girl. That was the only, like, number given to any of them. Now, Sicilian is in no way, like, trying to hog him, so she's fine with them all being together. So he actually tells, like, he tells them all the healer girls that are a part of his group. Like, he tells most of the healers, as they have much larger of a group this time, he tells the healers he wants them to go and, protect people. He says, go heal people. As it's wind up, instead of just being Sicilian there, with more mages there to heal, everyone's doing a lot better at healing, as they wind up hearing dark art, pure heal. As August and all of them have actually already learned the whole demon mark, as it's strong. It makes you stronger and able to heal and everything, and able to heal other people too, with your blood. Sorry about that, guys. As when they find out about this, he teaches the swordsman how to use it, and the swordwoman, but the swordswoman just says, it's so overwhelming, as he says, release it. As she kind of hits the floor saying, How do you contain that much power boost? Well, it's just around a third time stronger. Would you like to see my full power? And they said, what do you mean? As he goes into assault mode, saying, this is called assault mode. It makes that little demon mark I gave y'all look like a literal drop of water compared to the ocean. Wow. Yeah. So, I'm going to say that he's teaching them all around the third stage where they can actually where they're able to use the third stage. The second stage is a pretty weak stage upgrade, but third is a huge one. And then you got the fourth stage, which is his own assault mode. I mean, they each get their own small kind of form close to assault mode, but it's not quite anywhere near the multipliers of assault mode. As he still trains them to where they can keep up. Sorry if this is a longer video, guys, but I had to make it this long because Shin is a very hard topic to cover. In the battle against the demons, the same kind of battles happen, only it's a lot scarier. And they don't blast each other at all because they know any of them have enough magic to keep up with demons. Now, except for the final fight against the chick, she puts even August a run for his money, as she finds a way to take August down a couple pegs. Even the swordsmen were sword wielders were even using assault mode. Even the magic wielders were using assault mode. Everyone was using their like they weren't using assault mode, but they were using the third form of demon form, the third demon form, and he said, at this form, we're actually able to keep up with Shin. How are we losing? As Shin summoned his familiars, which is what he calls them, the full array of the creatures, as they're all just breathing out, like, they can all breathe some kind of they can all spit magic. The bears are more up-close fighters, but they can still breathe the kind of, like, a spit of magic, a magic ball that's enough to take someone down. And these are all each individually stronger than a demonoid. Every one of these people are able to make demonoids look like trash. And August gets absolutely owned by this chick. And Zest actually winds up jumping out to help. Not Zest, I don't think. Yeah, that's his name. So you have him, Zest, like her, Zest, and those are the main two that are the strongest two, right behind, what's his name? Strom? Yeah, right behind Strom. They were right behind Strom, and, like, as the only one who can keep up with Shin is absolutely no one. Like, it takes all of them together to keep up with Shin, and they're all there. Like, they're able to keep up with a third of Shin, and that's, like, they're actually a third of Shin's strength when they're in their assault modes. As she's winding up being put a little back by this, but that's because it's about half of her strength. As Shin goes into is still in no transformation, and I'm talking about him in no transformation versus them in, like, their assault modes. Well, they have assault mode, but it's just, like, it'll only last, like, a minute. And most battles last a good 20 minutes, I'm gonna say. Unless you're, like, one slicing people, which Shin can do, so it's no really big deal for him, so they wind up fighting, and when they're all completely out of it, like, Shin arrives in an instant saying, I thought I was going to get a challenge, so I guess not. And she wound up attacking as he barely was able to catch her hand, and just sends her flying backwards. And then sends the Zest dude, if I'm not mistaken that's his name, sends him flying back too. And at the point where Strom is just, as that gives this dude enough time to say, everyone, retreat! She used the same kind of explosion magic trying to stop them. They all had to use their barriers to keep up, to save themselves. As he actually asked if they were all okay. Except for the healing girls, who were all in the healing area. The battles went basically the same as canon, only they could individually even the healers could individually kill one of the demonoids. Now, they were all known as heroics, but they knew Shin was the strongest of the heroes. As at one point, Shin just says, that's enough holding back, though. As Strom himself, I think his name is? Strom or Strom, I'm not really sure, throws this huge magical attack at them, saying, escape! As he went blasting them with a huge magical attack. As the demons escaped, but it was like it was like a very little amount that escaped, as he said nope, as he winds up using the same beam trying to take them all out. It didn't work. But he, instead of just getting a single cut off that chick's chest, he's able to turn both of them into seeming to be punching bags, as Strom is basically healing those two with his magic. At the end, they all kind of hit the floor, completely exhausted. And at that point, once they've been completely exhausted, they wind up leaving. Hold on a second, I thought I heard something. Okay, so I'm back. So once they had all escaped, they had all like kind of got out of there barely, but they still got out of there. Strom had to wind up healing all of them, and the magic team, they were all completely beaten down because they were fighting two monsters of that level that one of them was enough to wreck them in cannon, even if they were twice as strong in base, and like they were barely keeping up, honestly. They were barely keeping up and taking beatings while they were. And then when he steps in, it's just like the exact opposite. No one can keep up. And wishes that they were. But once he's done with that, as they said, you're strong enough to make the entire world seem like a joke. As the king said that, and he says, I'd like to make my own country. They ask what he means. Not quite a country, my own town-ish sized country. So my kind of own village. It won't be a part of any country, though. Alright. And it will have protection by your country, as if it was part of it, but if it ever winds up that anyone's trying to take over, they will not attack this place, because my place will have enough security. Asking what they mean is that it's his place. No one can keep up with him, so I don't think they could keep him. As he winds up making an area close to the capital. It's actually right next to it. Seeming to be completely covered in enemy territory? No. As there's no enemies there. Like, they could become enemies, if literally every one of them trained against him. And it was more of his own little, like, area for himself, so he could actually, have his own home and everything. And have a place for the women that were his wives. Like, they weren't married, but they were engaged. He was engaged to all of them. And once they wind up going out for their, seeing more areas, like they had in canon, they come back again to where Shin lived, to Guru and all them. They wind up going there and saying, do you mind if we stay here for a while? And they said, it is fine. Though Melida, the Guru, is seeming to be pissed because they won't shut up. So she says, shut up. And even Shin himself backs up once when he moves his foot back when he hears this. And everyone even turns their head because they saw someone scared Shin. And it's like, respect your elders, is what he says. I'm respecting my elders. I am stronger than her, yes, by 20-fold. But I'm scared of her still. As he said, as this is the end of Season 1, so there's nothing else I can do. That's kind of how it left us off on a plot point. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Bye.